you're going to be doing a lot of installs of our new product line with the ignition coil and module and distributor that are connected together as a kit. So there are a couple of pitfalls here that I try to address with my installation instructions, and I created a quick start guide because people see all that writing and they go, I don't want to read this stuff. So we put the quick start guide here and kind of cover the big issues right up front with lots of pictures. You know, it covers things like this. This is an aftermarket banjo. Don't use that. It's going to give you problems. The big things. Here's another one. This distributor. Traditional mechanics are always taught, pounded into their heads, that when you install this distributor, this has got to be pointing right to cylinder number 1. The rotor aligns with it, and that's because that's the old style mechanical system. So the rotor is in phase mechanically, so that's always pointing to the cylinder when it fires. Well, if you notice, here we have a T instead of a point. The reason for that is there's no mechanical adjustment. It's a straight shot to the drive, a solid shaft. So when you put this in, the trailing edge, the retarded edge of that T is going to align with the post. So that confuses a lot of people because they'll call you up and say, hey, this can't be right, the rotor's not in the right place. Well, yeah, it is. Because, and then once you explain to them, hey, when the engine is running and it advances to full 30 degrees, this is aligned perfectly. So that's one issue that you run into quite often. And another one, believe it or not, is the pin. And it says everywhere in the instructions, the default pin is 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah, I know. You wouldn't think that would be an issue, but it does come up. Here's the other thing, is a static timing light. When you install this device, what you're doing in reality is setting up the rotor phase in relationship to the electronics. So we always tell people you have to turn the distributor body the opposite direction of the rotation of the rotor, because some are clockwise, some are counterclockwise. And this is where customers will screw this up, and then they'll be on the phone to you saying, hey, I got this thing running, but it doesn't run right. Something is wrong. They'll be very frustrated because they'll put their timing light on it, and the timing light will say 0 degrees, but the engine doesn't run right. That's because the rotor is out of phase with the cap. So basically, pull up the install instructions, tell them, look, section 8, look at that highlighted caution area, that's what you did wrong. And that will solve a lot of problems.
So does that physically move the rotor to the button, or?
Good question. So you have a sensor and a magnet that's moving here, okay? So as the magnet comes from this direction, it'll trigger just about when it lights up on there, right? But if it goes the other direction, it'll trigger again, but now the rotor is here instead of there. That's why it's got to be rotated the correct direction, because otherwise you get into this issue, and it confuses a lot of people. So I would say this is probably the #1 question that you're going to be answering when people call with tech questions. Whenever they say it starts, but it just doesn't run right. And the reason is because that rotor, of course, is not pointing to the right position, so you get a great big arc in there. And what happens when you try to accelerate the engine, you end up with a ring of fire essentially inside that cap. And now the spark is going all over the place. And the engine will turn, but it won't make any power. And that confuses people a lot. So the other thing that's an important thing to take care of when they're installing these is the synchronization. Let me find that. Let me see, it tells you here. Oh yeah, and you notice too, there's all these warnings of this and that. Okay, that's a legal department talking. So, but as a technician, when you're installing it, you're all very familiar with these kinds of safety issues. But this is written for someone who really doesn't have that kind of training. Let's see, where is that here? 5 degrees. Oh, it'd be better this way. Okay, set up for sync. Okay, the synchronization, what you're doing there is making sure that the rotor and the timing is synchronized with the app. Okay, so that when you put your timing light on the engine, it's going to agree what it says on the app. If they don't do this, and this is the danger that can run into big problems with the motor, if they haven't done that, they'll go to the curve on the app and say, okay, I should be at 10 degrees. They might be at 2 degrees or 20 degrees. But the app is going to tell them it's one thing or the other. So that's why we always tell people, you got to use this old school dial back timing light. And this one is, of course, is very old school. It doesn't have the digital, but that's what you're going to want to use. So you always tell people, if they go, this car is running, but it just doesn't seem right. And then they finally put a timing light on there and go, uh-oh, this is wrong. It's like, yeah, because you haven't synchronized the app. So what they want to do is, it's actually a very simple thing to do. You just put your timing light on there, and this is the only time you ever touch that distributor, is just turn the distributor till you get TDC number 1. Because with this little static timing light, you can only get within maybe 4 or 5 degrees of TDC. So this will allow it to synchronize. And once you've done that, then you lock down the distributor, you never touch it again. Everything's done with the app.